So that brings me to the second part of this talk, which is more around the market trends and opportunities that are emerging within this space. So personalized wellness is a small but growing market category. And to get a better sense of what we're talking about, let's take a quick look at the wellness market as a whole. So we're talking about a $270 billion market, and that's just in the US. About a quarter of it goes to, or 60 billion goes to weight loss. About 90 billion goes to nutrition, and a total of $45 billion goes to physical fitness. And that includes $25 billion for gym membership. And personalization today, as you can see, is a very small fraction of this landscape. But that also means that the opportunities are substantial. And personalization is mostly present in 4 subcategories today. Perhaps the most obvious one is fitness and mind-body, and that includes activity trackers, obviously, smart scales, but also devices to track things like emotions, stress level, and metabolism. And there's a lot of excitement about wearables, but it's not just about wearables. It also includes in-home or at-home sensors. It also includes larger devices and machines, for example, body composition analyzers, body scanners, and in addition to, obviously, software and applications. So the most common ones would be the ones that are activity-specific and that track, for example, your running or cycling performance, in addition to smart clothing. Now, the second big subcategory where we see a little bit of personalization or tech-enabled personalization is healthy eating, nutrition, and weight loss, with applications that track or tools that track your food, your calories, but even what's inside your food, for example, to test for allergies. Another big subcategory is preventative and personalized medicine, and that includes testing, so obviously genetic testing, microbiome screening, in addition to a variety of at-home tests that are sold directly to the consumer. And the last small subcategory is workplace wellness, where we see a little bit of all these tools and applications slowly enter the workplace. And so the common denominator here and the key takeaway is that most products and services do not cover more than one subcategory. And in other words, personalized wellness is a pretty fragmented subcategory. Now, last section of this talk is more about the trends. So there's a general consensus that tracking data and tracking data itself is not enough. So the user gets bored, and data itself needs to be put into perspective. Now, with that in mind, I'll here with what I call the 3 stages of personalized wellness. And we are, I believe, somewhere between the first and the second one. So the first one is data collection. So the very first devices were obviously not very accurate, or tools were not very accurate, they were expensive. Today it's a little bit more about accuracy, and prices obviously are going down. But there's also a lot of work that still needs to be done in data collection itself. So for example, in areas like tracking emotions, or even simple things like tracking caloric intake in a way that is not self-reported. So for example, by scanning the food or by looking at your blood sugar. And there are always new ways of tracking data. So for example, at Fitnescity, we use a wide variety of devices, tests, and assessments. One new way in which we started to collect data is 3D body scanning, which actually gives you a 3D body image of the individual and enables you to track how the body is changing with exercise and diet by showing you, for example, a heat map of where the individual has lost weight or gained weight. So the point here is that there really is new ways or different ways to track data, for example, here in a way that you can't really see from a scale or from simple body composition analysis. The second stage is more around recommendations. So many of the devices and tools had at least at the beginning, had a use case that was not very clear. So you get a number as a consumer, and you don't really know what to do with it. So the second generation of devices are more around recommendations. So we see, for example, devices or tools that sort of act like a personal coach to you. Especially in areas, for example, we see that in areas like running, which is a pretty injury-prone activity. So having a device, for example, that can tell you when you need to correct your form or when you need to stop before you get injured can be helpful. And recommendations are not just tech-enabled. So, for example, at Fitnescity, we use a network of human coaches, actually, that help you navigate the data. Because we think it's just way too much information, way too much knowledge to have as a consumer. And also, human connection is not something that you can get from a device or a test, obviously. So there are really different ways in which just the recommendations can be achieved. Now, on the final note, so the third stage of personalized wellness is what I call here personalization or personalized wellness as a lifestyle. Because most of the use cases that we're talking about, and for example, most of the clients that we see at Fitnescity are here because they have already a specific problem to solve. So they need to lose weight, or they have a specific condition and need to adjust their lifestyle based on that condition, or make changes in their lifestyles to manage their condition. And so this stage is where lifestyle changes, so the data collection and the recommendations are actually integrated in your lifestyle before you actually need it, so before you're sick or about to be sick. And for that, the technology needs to be integrated in a very seamless manner and non-intrusive manner. And it also needs to offer a comprehensive view of your wellness, so not just one perspective of it. And so this is the stage or the era where lifestyle changes are made in a proactive way rather than reactive, whether it's to reach optimal performance or to avoid disease before it actually happens. Thank you.